Living in sin, in a den of iniquity. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about cohabitation. So join us. Crack open a cold one. A cold one being a hard case against marriage, that is.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. Are those your real lips?
Mm-hmm. No. Does that look sexier?
I mean, they are your real lips.
No, that was my tongue.
Oh, it's your tongue. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was like Botox.
Yeah.
Like weird.
Ugh.
Insert
It is
botulism in your lip.
It is kind of odd, isn't it? Could it
Things
ever leak
people
out?
do.
I guess it can't. But anyway.
No.
Interesting. Welcome to the pod.
Yeah, we're going to talk about living alone and not living alone.
Living alone.
Cohabitation.
Cohabitish.
Yeah.
Cohabish.
And
I put cohabitating as my title for that. Good one.
because it's active. It's like a gerund.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you got any things you want to cover? Any specifics? You got like a top three?
Yeah, sexual activity. The new movement with millennials now.
Mhm.
Millennials is a key word.
Yeah,
Everyone loves that word.
crossover right there.
God, right there.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the religious aspects of it, maybe a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then lastly, that's it.
I want to reflect on like our own aspects of cohabitation, and then maybe a little financial aspect to it.
Oh, interesting.
Economic factors,
Economical,
and then the annoyances of actually living with someone, how it
Yeah.
interacts with everything you do,
Mhm.
how they're getting in your business,
Mm-hmm.
how she is always in my business. Ba-ding! That's
Did
her.
you actually just start recording?
That's her.
No. Okay.
Okay. So where do you want to start?
I guess let's just talk about the word cohabitation.
Sure.
What was the roots and the origin of it? Do you have that?
I do not.
Neither do I.
Habitating, living
one.
together. As in
And
the co.
doing it. I need to put this on silent because apparently we're live on every. Oh my God, my mother.
She's
I
really
don't even live with her anymore. I do not cohabitate. Do you cohabitate if you live with your parents?
Yeah.
Really?
You live in the same household.
Okay.
Can we start from
I
the
thought it was
beginning? The very beginning?
Yeah, because I also read that I think you're not cohabitating if you live with your parents. I think it's called living with your parents. When you cohabitate, I believe the definition is you live with someone who you are romantically or sexually active with. So you don't cohabitate with your roommates from college. I think
So
there's a
there's
romantic or
two.
sexual.
There's your version, which is a
Ah.
couple's version, and then the state or fact of living or existing at the same time or in the same place.
I think we're really discussing my definition today.
Well, I don't know. I think we could touch
Because
on
it's
both.
different than having a roommate.
It is different if you want to get into your intimate sexual relationships.
Mhm.
You do.
With my roommates through the years.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's really, so I consider it to be like thinking of all the time that I've spent living alone in my entire life. It was this tiny span between graduating college and moving down here, which was only about 9 months. Like really, truly, honestly living alone.
Did you live with your wife beforehand?
I most certainly did. The stats on that do not
Picture.
favor people who live cohabitate. But also, one thing you have to watch.
And there's a caveat.
Yeah, these websites are all biased based on religious
Oh my
aspects.
God.
There's so many of them that look
Like,
factual, but you can tell by the
found
wordage.
this- you can just tell. I can tell by the title and where it's coming from.
Yeah.
This reminded me when we did the porn episode, and it would be like, "Is porn healthy?" And then like all the websites were like, "Beat the beast," and like, which ironically enough sounds like they want you to do it. But they don't.
It does.
Defeat the monster, slay the. They have all these words.
It's like Leviticus 15 or something.
Yeah, something like it. How would you know that? That's incredible or weird.
Wait.
Anyway.
Leviticus 15.
Go ahead, please. Do not fapathize or.
When any man has an unusual bodily discharge, such a discharge is unclean. Anyone who touches his bed must wash their clothes and bathe in water, and they will be unclean till evening. So you just got uncleanliness for a night. That's
Don't
not so
don't
bad.
do it. Don't do it. Don't do it in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be a long day.
Yeah.
Usually, I just use like a towel or something like that.
Yeah, I make sure it doesn't touch me, and then I'm clean.
You're clean.
I'm good.
Nice. Don't get that seed on you, bro. Well,
Which is one thing you can't do when you cohabitate. If someone's always around you. Imagine if you lived in an apartment that only had one room, a studio apartment. Studio. I don't know why they make it sound grand. It's a single
it has
room.
to sound like something.
Yeah. That's real estate.
Real estate for
Freeloaders.
you folks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a studio
Or
apartment
realtors
and that
with you.
person always lived with you, like if they were sitting in the background and
Like
someone
you had the
was sitting-
same work hours, essentially,
Yeah.
and you hung out with the same people
Mhm.
because you're friends or whatever.
How would you do? You would not do well. I wouldn't do well.
So Tommy the Flowers, my old roommate,
Mhm.
I was roommates with him for 4 years. We were the
Yeah.
only ones that shared a room by the time we lived in the house. But we had like some of the same classes. We always went to the same parties, same schedules, essentially, except he had crew early in the morning. At like 5:45 in the morning.
We just said what you shouldn't do in the morning.
Guess what? That's when I would do it. Yeah, you're going to crew? All right, see ya. All right, dude. Woo!
Just as that, like you like click that lock, and you're like,
right back to, and then right back to sleep until classes.
yeah,
Beautiful.
glorious.
Mhm.
That is actually whenever someone would leave the house when I was a teenager. Whenever everyone would leave the house.
Yeah,
Every single person.
You're still like your mom's.
The odds have lowered.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, once you have the house to yourself, you're pretty much like, this is my domain, and then you prove it by not being bored anymore.
I don't know if that's proving it, but it's definitely something to
It's
do.
an expression,
It is.
physical expression. Yep.
So this is like living alone talk, the opposite of cohabitation. Like,
What?
there are pros and cons to both, I guess, right?
I
I
think
mean, that's
I will say, how often have you lived alone? Have you ever
I
lived
don't know
alone?
if I ever have. Maybe I haven't. Hold on. Roommates, housemates, girlfriend. No, I think I've never lived alone.
Isn't that
You should
weird?
try it. It is weird.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it until you just said something earlier. That's weird. So how long did you do it?
For
9
9 months. And I thought I was losing my mind at the end because I kind of fell into a routine, and then everything kind of like meshes together, and you just start to lose your mind. Honestly, I don't think I'm made for it. Even though I'm very introverted, I don't do well
That's
because
weird.
I lose focus.
Like, yeah, there's no social aspect in your house.
Yeah,
Like, that's weird because my house is one giant social aspect.
yeah.
A pain in my ass social aspect, a fun one, laughing, doing stuff. And once you have kids, it's kind of out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is why I consider cohabitation more than just a spouse.
Okay.
Because your
I can
kids...
see what you're talking about. So we're talking about being alone versus being whatever. See, I did more of my research on just people who live together, boyfriend girlfriend style,
you can
than
touch that.
marriage.
Touch that. then.
Yeah. Well, we will, because that's where I did a lot of my research. I think just last year was the first year that the 18 to 34 group, more of them were cohabitating than married.
Huh.
It's the first time it's happened since census censuses have been done,
Sensies.
conducted.
A bunch of
Sensies.
candles.
That's good. But it's the first time. I think it's around 30% or something like that, and married is down to like 28% or something like that.
So the cohabitation before marriage is happening a lot more because people, there's no stigma.
Well, even
the religious
right, and there's also the so for reference, 1968, which was roughly 50 years ago, 18 to 24 group. Do you know what percentage of them cohabitated in a house together? Like couples that weren't married? 0.1%.
Wow, that's almost nobody. That's those are the people that are ostracized.
It literally doubled in the 25 to 34 group back then, though. 0.2%.
Wow. People were afraid to report it.
Exactly. Some of it's reporting, but some of it, I mean, think about it. You didn't buy a house unless you were like newlyweds or like already married or something.
In a lot of
divorce
cultures,
the divorce
that's what
rate
you
is
have
probably
to do.
Like under 10% or 15% back then, wasn't it? In the 60s, I guess.
Yeah, because you were ostracized based on the
media
it was like
that
we've seen.
The religion. The religion was tied to the laws a little bit, kind of too. I don't know.
Yeah, even though it's
not laws,
separation
but like the
of church
ideals.
and state, it doesn't seem like it actually.
No, it doesn't actually do it. So now it's like it's on the rise.
Well, did you see the first time ever that it was not? I don't know if it's technically atheists, but like non-religious people are now overtaking all other demographics of spirituality. So we're a majority now, I think.
It's making a change, making a push.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff, ebbs and flows. Like think about it. You couldn't just like even what I'm doing, like even what I did. Like you go.
What did you do, Nick?
What did I do? I moved in with my friend, and then her sister moved in, and then now I live with her, and we had a kid. Anyway, I am living in sin.
It's a complicated arrangement.
It's a complicated arrangement, which I brought upon myself, or didn't, or still don't. I don't know that it's more complicated than a married situation. Like,
yep.
There's totally something to be said for a lot of the websites I came across and YouTube videos and stuff were very conservative ones with conservative views, non-liberal, and they were like, the reason that cohabitation always leads to divorce is this, and it was like
it was only like 60% of like people who cohabitated before marriage actually got divorced, whereas like I guess general is 50%.
Right, and the other thing is actually divorced or separated, the cohabitation thing.
It didn't specify, but it did specify that if you were married for 7 years, that it's the same as everything else. That really? It didn't matter.
Okay. Right. So what we're saying, because we read the articles and whoever's listening might not have, there tends to be a push from the conservative side that says if you cohabitate before you get married, A, you might not get married. B, you'll not respect your wife if you're a man. C, you will
have a kid out of wedlock.
You have a kid out of wedlock, and then you will get divorced. Well, I mean, that kind of still happens regardless of the cohabitation.
So what about the try it before you buy it aspect?
So it found that people who were sexually active earlier in life tend to
be happier,
not give a shit about cohabitation. Like, it's not a big deal because they've tried it before they buy it. Like, is that the sticking point of cohabitation versus marriage? Is it the sex, or is it like that you don't sign legal paperwork? Because marriage is it about legality or religious kind of themes?
So I guess we're going to rewind before you have kids.
Yeah.
So it's just two people living together, deciding that they want to be together, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the marriage part favors the woman most of the time, so the man has more power when it's just cohabitating, and I guess that's why most people fall apart.
Maybe, but there's also this to keep in mind. The marriage is less apt to fall apart because there's ramifications legally, financially, and otherwise. which, I mean, you just touched on, but I'm expanding on it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a shared bank account now that has to be separated. There's legal paperwork you have to file to be divorced, to legally be separated. It's more than just in cohabitation. We hate each other. We're going to leave. And then you leave and you kind of argue over who gets what. And it all gets thrown out the window anyway.
So I'll take it from a different aspect. Is it? I can't imagine marrying somebody without having lived with them, because when you live with them, you see the weirdness that they do. So let's
true them.
Yeah, let's look at the true annoyances that we have of the other person.
So my friend Ryan, who's a big fan of the podcast, he dated a girl that he met for 9 months and then popped the question.
Wow, he knew. It's one of his lightning feelings.
Sure, that's totally fine. But my argument to myself, I don't think I ever told him, was always, you don't even know what she's like in November, December, and January. Like, you don't.
Those could
she
be
could turn into.
months.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know someone for a full year? That's weird. I don't know.
Even the first 3 or 4 months when you meet somebody, there's that puppy love that just engulfs you, and that could be the shitty months that they live in their cycle of living.
It could be. We also did the episode on limerence and love. You can click it here or here.
Episode
or here,
64, I think.
How did you know that? That's incredible. And anyway, you can just look it up because we're not going to have the link. Anyway, the whole limerence thing and puppy love, it's a real thing. The conservative argument against cohabitation touched on that. They said, well, when you cohabitate, you're in puppy love and you don't really know what the responsibility is. And I kept wanting to tell the video,
bullshit.
So is the first 4 months of marriage. What's the difference?
Yeah, you think you're in some sort of like fantastic place that you're supposed to be in. I don't know that you should follow societal norms because they don't really lead anywhere. They might make
they lead to a societal normal outcome, usually. Which
is neutral, really.
Yeah.
So
there was a really good. I know you want to touch on
what's
weird things people do. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. I know it. Go off, King.
The toothpaste roll, like the toothpaste, the tube. She scrunches it with her fists and doesn't roll it.
It's like uneven.
Yeah,
you're supposed to go from the back end forward.
And then, like the top of it, it doesn't.
Crusty as hell.
Crusty. How do you do that? How do you do that?
Makes you so mad. I can actually tell.
I don't know. I mean, we keep separate roles, but when we have to share, it's like, what is this? Is this my life now?
Center for ants. Do you guys use the same toothpaste? Like, is there an agreement, or is it different every time? Or
typically different until she runs out, and then I'm the Boy Scout, so I'm always prepared. So I have like an extra roll. So like I share it for a little while until I get annoyed, and then I pull out the extra
guy,
roll.
Folks. Everyone listening, Dan here
Secrets.
he's just so good.
He's
so good to her. He's so good to her.
This is how I treat you right, babe. Take this toothpaste roll and shove it.
Take this toothpaste roll. You're goddamn right I bought it. I was prepped.
Yeah.
You're goddamn right.
You should prep next time. We'll teach you.
You better prep next time. You're like a drill sergeant. I can see you showing up. Where's your toothpaste? I don't have it.
Take this. Take it now.
God damn it. God damn it. Anyway, mine's it's a lot of little things. Like the
it all adds up.
It does. It's like why would you let so there's that little carpet that sits in the middle of the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
It gets kicked further and further towards the shower, and when it's up against the shower, any water running down makes it soaking wet. So I always pull it and put it towards the middle, and for whatever reason, one of them is always just, do they kick it towards the shower? I can't even understand why it gets there, and then it's always wet, and I'm always like...
Well, you don't want to touch on the tile when you step out of the shower, right?
It's this far! Like, you can make that step. Why does it have to be butted against the goddamn... Anyway, the other one is when Angie's done with her salad at the end of the day, like she brings a salad in and a container of dressing, she just throws them in the sink, and they would sit there forever. And I'm like,
a container, like a plastic container,
Tupperware, yeah, Tupperware with a smaller Tupperware in it.
Oh yeah.
The smelliest thing is salad dressing and almost done salad that's been sitting in a container all day. And every time I do it, I just get a whiff of salad dressing. I'm like, and the other one, you know what she does? She is a very clean individual, and she will put her dishes in the sink when she's done, except that she always puts her paper towel, like her napkin paper towel, like that she was eating dinner with, in the sink with it. So that if an hour goes by, I go back, I'm like, what is a wet paper towel? I'm like, what? You walked past the trash can. Just drop it in the trash can. Why did you bring it to the sink? Now I got a wet paper towel. A wet paper towel is like the grossest thing.
So let's jump out of context here. Because in college I lived with 5 or 6 guys at the same time. And the sink is something.
The story in your bio, 6 guys at the same time?
All together, all at once. Just you wait. So
Just You Wait is what that was the other name of your other one. Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess at that time we were seniors. And
21?
I think.
Is that 21?
Oh, definitely 22.
22-ish? I can't remember.
So I think we had already realized that it like doing dishes like was like out of the question. So like whatever we did, we avoided it.
It's never going to open fairly. It's never going to work out.
Yeah.
So
someone's always going to make a mess, and you're going to be like, "What the fuck is your problem?" So like you would never make meals because meals required that like you share the duty of doing something. So like one person cooks and the other person cleans. Well, what if you have 5 people? There's always like 3 or 4 freeloaders. You do it yourself.
Someone's freeloading and that person is.
So there was never like quote unquote family meals in college. Like it's very very rare that someone would like cook a meal and be like,
everyone eat it once and everyone clean up and it's all said and done. No, that doesn't happen.
No. So I guess that brings it like
that was the whole point.
No, it's like dishes. Okay. It's like dishes and shared stuff, like washing and cleaning. It's like all that stuff is kind of like contentious, so that you're constantly battling between the other person, taking tallies and counting how much work you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Because I do more dishes than anyone at this point. It's slowly becoming more and more, and every time I do them, I'm like, keep in mind, motherfucker, I'm doing the dishes. Like, I'm just keeping track. And then someone, when you're almost done, will pop in and say, do you need any help? No, just did them all. We're good. I'm keeping track.
I always love the, like, I cooked a meal, like, 2 days ago, and then, like, you get down to the bottom of the sink, and it's like, what is this still doing in here? This should have been done a day ago. You're just like, what? Huh?
It's from 2 days ago. I wonder who didn't.
I guess I'll just do it now and be bitter. So cohabitation equals bitterness?
Keeping score? Well, here's the question. So I'll ask you, since you have lived alone. I can't figure out the delineation of work and how to do it if you lived alone.
So like all the tasks that I had to do when I lived alone, how did I do them, essentially? Or like how much work was it actually? It's weird because
is it a lot? I have no idea. Laundry, trash.
I'm weird
dishes?
With my systems because like I'll do it in such a way that I will do the least amount of work possible. Like when I'll do this, like when I do my laundry, like I'll have 2 drawers open, like underwear and socks, and like those things are easy to toss. So like as I'm doing my laundry, I'm just like throwing like stuff that's not socks or underwear aside, and then every sock or underwear I like throw it in the drawer as it's going in. It's like a 5-minute process of like doing my laundry, and then like I take the pile and I do that. It takes me no time at all. I feel like when I do it by myself, like I'm already preparing for my future self to do it, so I make it such that it's easy to do. Yeah,
makes sense. But like your trash can will get filled eventually, or like do you do dishes from what you just made at night, and then like
I would clean it like immediately because I knew I had to
as
do
you
it.
go. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because there's no hope there that someone else is going to take care of it.
Yeah. There's no one is gonna do whatever needs to be done. Like, can you imagine if someone just showed up, knock, knock, and then just started walking through your dishes, and you're like, okay. Let's see where this goes.
Imagine if it was like a really hot, sexy woman that just like was like, I want to do your dishes. Like you'd be like, what? And then like
my dishes?
Afterwards, you're just like, how does this end? Like, you want to take care of my dog? My dog needs to be walked.
Yeah.
How much do you charge for dog walking?
Should rub and tugs be legal, folks? That's not where I was going.
Was the owner of the Patriots? Is that where you're going?
No. I was
Because
tying
he
off
was
on a whole
caught
separate
in a rub and
in a
tug
rub.
scheme.
Yes, he was.
The guy with millions of dollars gets caught in like a strip mall
He's
rub
got
and tug.
needs too, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
I would have a private rub and tugger.
yeah, but isn't that boring after a while? It's the same person doing the same move.
Yeah, I guess. You want to be surprised?
Yeah.
He's like, go to the back room. Someone will come in. It's like,
I want someone who's not good at this.
Yeah.
Not good? Yeah, I mean, not terrible.
I want to feel like a
not very
teenager
good.
again. And it's like,
Yeah, I mean, maybe because then there's the whole argument, like, if they're really good at their job, you're done in like a minute. You know what I mean? But if someone's not good at their job, you're getting your money's worth. It's like I want someone who's okay at their job.
time
It's
value.
Yeah, I agree.
Mugatu face. Yeah.
That's the funniest scene in the movie because I still don't know what's going on in that little interaction between him and Todd.
Yeah.
I do. What does he say?
I get farty and bloated with a foamy latte.
That's so good.
So what I will say with cohabitation, though, the positives are like, I look at going back to college and living with a bunch of guys, is that there's always someone to hang out with. There's always something to do. If you want to go get a meal, there's someone to go with.
You don't have to do a lot of work either.
True.
I know. I mean, you do, but no one does it, so it's kind of cool. It's like you're not doing dishes a lot, but that's because no one's doing dishes a lot.
And there's no, like, the middle ground is like maybe someone does it, maybe someone doesn't. But if there's like a hard ground where like you had a huge party and like the apartment is trashed, everyone helps out. Like they all know.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. That everyone's going to work on.
Yeah. So there's positives there that, like, everyone has a limit and they all know when to chip in.
Mm-hmm.
I miss those days. You end up bonding with those people so much, so deeply. You miss
it's also because of the time of your life and where you are in your life and
possibilities and hope.
Yeah, sure.
Shattered.
Whatever. What was that word? Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I touched on, if we wanted to switch it, and we
Sure.
can talk about college days forever.
No, switch it.
I know. All right. So with cohabitation, people who are sexually active earlier tend to be like, who gives a shit? Yeah, live together. Like, go ahead. Because there's this religious, conservative type idea that you should save sex and living with someone for marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But you had said it earlier, like, if you don't know a person that way, then you don't know them, right?
That's true. I read the stat
it's
that
like,
only like 27% of people actually disapprove of cohabitating before marriage, which is weird.
And do you know what age group? I think it's over 50.
It's probably the older people, yeah. I would
Yeah. I saw a stat. It was like 18 to 25, 26 to 34, 45, and then the one that was like the most disapproving was
don't know how to use
elders.
a computer, yeah.
Yeah, they just said elders. It didn't even have an age group.
Do you think the elders just always disapprove? I feel like maybe that's their role in society.
They're going to, but think of this. Like, if we hear that like 16-year-olds are having sex with like 38-year-olds in like 15, 20 years or 30 years, and be like,
what's the age range? What was that again?
16-year-olds are having sex with 38-year-olds.
So like sugar daddies.
No, like 16-year-olds are having sex with 38-year-olds in 30 years.
Keywords.
Keywords. But I mean, if we heard that and people are like, society is saying, just let it go at this point. 16 is practically 18. I do this.
Yeah, I don't. At that point, I feel like the woman is being taken advantage of because I don't think.
So is an 18-year-old having sex with a 39-year-old. Do you know what I mean? What's the difference? And we're not going to do a whole episode on that right now.
I guess it's a sexist view, yeah. Because I assume that it's a guy going after a younger girl. But it
Right,
could be
we
a
don't
younger
know.
guy after an older woman.
And again, this is in like 30 years, which maybe it'll be almost passe, and I'll be like this. I'll make this face too.
This does kind of go into like the teacher scandals of like the older teachers having sex with the younger guys.
That's a phenomenon. I don't know what that is.
Well, I think they're being tried, but not severely. Like they're just like Socially, it's almost
I
acceptable.
think they get the sex crime. Well, socially, they're getting high fives or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
but
weird.
not legally. I think they are getting in pretty big trouble.
We should do an episode on this.
Pretty sure. Someone I follow always posts the best stories they can, and then the picture of the teacher, and it's like usually a white woman in her like 30s who's like not bad looking.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like it doesn't make sense why she couldn't just go after someone her own age.
I don't know. It's there must be something with a teacher-student relationship or something. Or like I don't know. She's teaching them and they're learning from her because her husband never listens to her and doesn't learn from her. So she's actually able to touch someone, even if it's technically intellectual. Now she's like,
It's weird because you never look at a picture of a guy who had committed the same crime and say, "Oh, he's semi-attractive," and like I don't understand why he wouldn't.
No,
it doesn't happen.
Never say that. It doesn't work that way.
You should be able to find this elsewhere. Cohabitation.
Cohabiting.
I think we covered all the stats. Actually, you want to do? We already covered kind of time. So the size of a household.
What's that?
So back in 1960s, the size of a household was like 3.3 people per household. Okay. Now it's only like 2.5. So like people are having less kids.
That's part of it.
There's less interaction between people. What about like only children? Like, do you think only children, because they're alone, they're more likely to be alone? I didn't look up stats.
To be only children? I don't know. No, because I feel like they get married. No, they're probably less likely to have kids or more kids.
They get married.
That dirty word. We haven't even gotten into marriage, really.
Well, like a smaller household, I don't know. I think we have notions that like a larger household is more loving and more friendly and full house style.
Well, you were just talking about living with 6 guys, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of love there, but it's because there's more people, there's more instances, there's more interaction. I mean, when you only have 3 people in a house, there's less interaction by proxy. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's fewer dynamics. I mean, remember X and Y hate each other. I mean, they don't really hate each other. And Z is always prodding a fight between them. But Z is really like BFF with F sometimes. And then sometimes A is always like the funny guy. He's like hilarious, but he hates X. So it's really funny when X and Y are fighting with A, and it's like, and Z's gonna push him, and then someone shows up and he's like, oh my god, he brought booze, and it's like you have all these different mixtures going on, and like pushes and pulls and relationships. So the more people, the more of that going on, more dynamics, if I were to say.
Yes.
Fewer people, fewer dynamics, fewer interesting interactions, right?
Yeah, less happening. Less you can't pick and choose as much. You're forced to. So if it's only 2 people, you're forced to deal with whatever they like. Especially if you're in a relationship or you're married, you're forced to deal with whatever shit they shovel your way. Even if the shit becomes a big pile of crap that they have to bulldoze your way.
Yeah, you're right. There's no other people to delineate it or break it up
or judge
they
it.
They can't shove it on one day, the other day, one guy the other day, and like break it up. You're it's a very heavy load.
Do you feel like you have a mediator though? Do you think
with my third party?
Yeah, your third party jumps in and says this isn't how it should be.
Sometimes, but I don't think it changes anything.
Interesting.
Because for a very easy reason. When it's 3 guys living together as roommates, you all have equal say.
Yeah, equal power.
When it's 2 people in a very serious relationship with a kid and then just a third party, they're almost treated as a third party sometimes. Like when things get serious. Like what stay do you have
fourth
in
wheel.
This? Yeah, exactly. A fourth wheel. Fourth wheel. That makes what we call a vehicle. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh shit, where was I gonna go? I had somewhere to go and it was good. I forget where it was.
Shoveling shit. Is that what you were thinking of?
Oh, fuck me.
So do you think, what's the difference between cohabitation and marriage, ultimately? Is it just a piece of paper, or is there something else to it?
So, this is where I was going to go. economically.
Good, I put you there.
So, like, there was a period where, like, financially people relied on each other. So, like, there's an instance, like, maybe you are relying on someone for financial backing in order to live where you live.
Yeah,
It's like,
I would say as such.
in my relationship, it's flipped, or it was flipped in the beginning at least, that to live where we live, it required me to make more money than
More
she
money.
did. Yeah.
Right.
So, in a lot of cases, I think women are upselling. There's that stat for, like, female doctors. So, like, female doctors will not, like, they won't marry a male nurse.
Many a time,
Mm-hmm.
they will marry a male doctor.
Yeah, or higher. They'll go for somebody that has a higher income than they do. But very rarely they'll go down. But a male doctor will go down pretty readily.
He'll go down like it's the 4th of July. He's going on some hot dogs. He's bobbing down on some dogs, baby.
Yeah. So, like, economically, I feel like back then it was required. Like, in the 1960s, you always have all the tropes about how, like, the man was the person making the income. Breadwinner. And it was very difficult for a woman to, like, seek her own income and become independent. Like, you didn't have, I feel like 1970s, 80s, like, kind of started that. And then now it's kind of like
a little
equal
revolution.
footing.
Now it's like, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a surprise to find a woman that makes more than a man.
Yeah.
Or who lives with her and
or that
hates fighting with her every night.
Or that Google got cited for, like, being sexist, and then when they actually looked at the data, it turned out that they were underpaying men in the same roles as women, and they were like,
Really?
Weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess it's a general consensus, a viewpoint, more an image than it is a fact.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any way to prove how much people should make.
So, no, of course not. So, not just economic roles, but like cleaning roles, and we touched on this, but they said the difference between cohabitation and marriage is that when you cohabitate, this is the argument by, like, what's his name? He's a nerd, Ben Shapiro. You know who he is?
Oh yeah, he's very
Isn't he,
good
like,
at debating.
5'4" though.
I don't know Ben Shapiro's height offhand.
I feel like he is, and I feel like he's never had sex.
5'7".
I could be wrong.
He talks really fast. People who talk too fast, I don't trust them.
No, I don't trust him either. Anyway, I think his argument against cohabitation and marriage was that oh crap, I was just talking about economic. Like, when you cohabitate, you're having a good time, you're laughing, you're having drinks, you're going out and partying. When you get married, all of that has to change, and there are roles that are assumed, and that people aren't ready for those roles, and it rocks them. And it's the problem with cohabitating first is that you have this expectation of fun and good times and everything, but marriage is hard. So it just seemed like
you're skipping over unless you have a big point to make.
No, it wasn't a big point. Good. What am I skipping?
You're skipping over the point where you're supposed to be, like, the alpha. You're supposed to go out and, like, hunt or, like, track down your woman and, like, make the money. You're supposed to do all the things that are, like, power hungry.
I actually got her by hitting her over the head with a wooden club. Really, I hit her over the head and grabbed her hair and just dragged her back.
Dad joke if I've ever heard one. Holy crap.
It's an old caveman joke, folks.
Yeah, so there's a period of your life where you're supposed to be, like, free-ranging, lone wolf, whatever. Like, you're supposed to, like, discover your own, make your own route.
Did you ever do that?
No, not really. Yeah, I don't.
The way you brought it up, I was, like, waiting for you to kind of say it, and I was like, I don't think you did.
No, but I could see a lot of my friends, like, think that, but then there was no, like, comeuppance. there's no, like, glory moment where they're like, I did it. Like, I don't think the glory is actually there. I think the glory is in the long run. Finding someone that's, like, compatible and just letting it go.
Anywhere.
There's no glory. There's no glory.
It's all dead.
So if you're making, like, double what you're making now, or triple,
sure.
What do you think? Would that change? Would you be like, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna make sure you live in it, and then, like, would you have the power?
Yeah, but then no, I would have the power, but then the arguments would still be there. The paper towels would still be in the sink. A lot of the same stuff would show up.
Yeah,
it wouldn't change. It changes the dynamics in that where you're doing the argument, what house you're doing it in, how much money you're arguing over, but it's like still, it's,
So
I don't
people are
know.
basically the same, regardless of their environment. That's what you're trying to
And
say.
regardless of whether they're married or regardless of whether they're cohabitating and regardless of how much money they actually make, they tend to outspend their means. They tend to do certain things to each other, piss each other off in a weird way.
If you could have somebody that takes care of all those things, do you think there's less love in the relationship? Do you think there's like less of a relationship if you have someone taking care of all the arguments? Like if there was a maid that would clean your sink and do your laundry and remove
No,
toothpaste
because that's
rolls.
not. No, because then what's left?
What do you argue over?
I don't know. Well, not even just argue over what colors you're painting. Like there's nothing going on.
So
There's
this is
more blank spaces.
so this is the housewife, which we don't have single. I don't know what you call it. Housewives, I guess. Moms that stay home with their kids.
Right.
Homemakers.
No, we do not have that.
That's
no,
the word. We don't have that.
I'm more of a mother.
I assume if we had a lot of money that our women would become housemakers, homemakers.
Probably, and stay home and just do the clean the house stuff.
Now, did your mom stay home?
For a while, but then she had her job.
Okay. And now
It was part-time, but yeah.
Yeah, my mom stayed home until I guess she didn't have to take care of us. So then she became a homemaker.
Late grade school or something like that.
Yeah. So it's kind of they start to make it a home. They start to add knickknacks and crap all over the place, and then like things are
You're
like
there all
clean.
the time,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
I guess if you have a lot of time on your hands, you start to just make
But
things
you
neat
know
and
what?
tidy.
You literally said it earlier when you said you lived alone for 9 months.
It bothers
It
you.
probably starts to drive them crazy. They're probably like,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get out. You have to interact. You have to see something different. You have to get out there. I don't know.
What were my points? What was I going to hit on in the beginning? I forget already.
You were really big on Viagra, I think you said?
Yeah. Surprised that Ted Cruz is 5'11". They make him look short in a lot of pictures.
Wait, Teddy Cruz? The guy who looks like the uncle from the Munsters?
Yeah.
Grandpa, excuse me.
Oh, man.
So here's my question. I did touch on it. You didn't answer it. What is the damn difference between being married and cohabitating?
You see,
Because I wouldn't have minded getting married. Okay, I wasn't against marriage. Like some people are against it or whatever. Mine's based a little bit on finances, a little bit on.
Me, it's only like if lawyers get involved. Like if I were to get divorced, it would cost money to have a lawyer involved, and then she makes similar to what I make, so that's alimony is probably not an issue, but for some people it probably is. And then I guess if you have kids, the child support is irregardless of whether you're married or not. Sometimes, most of the time probably.
Right. I just read an article on the laws about that and all that stuff.
So, I mean, other than like having a ring and being like, take this ring and shove it every now and then, like, I guess if you don't marry a woman, then she's going to feel like she's not going to have children. So, which is the bigger issue, because some women really want children, and like their time frame for having children is like 35 or younger, based on a French study from like the 1800s. So it's true. It's true.
No, I know the study. We did one on babies and the age and all that. Yeah, but what about people who cohabitate and do have babies?
Does that make their relationship more fragile or less enjoyable? Or I don't see how it changes things at all, really, unless one of them wants to get married. Do you think she wants to get married? She makes more than you. That's like sharing finances is part of getting married a little bit. You have common finances. Do you have common finances?
I guess. No, we do not.
No. You write a check and say, "This is how much I owe," and then she grunts and says, "Oh, I'm so bitter."
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
So, like, age of getting married, has that shifted too?
Oh, it's gone up incredibly.
Yeah, 1960s
Didn't it
was
used to be like
20.
14?
Oh, I found that.
No, I'm talking in the 1500s, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, since you live longer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that I think Nebraska, their legal age of getting married is 19 instead of 18, which is like every other state except for Mississippi, which is like you have to be
17.
No, actually you have to be 21. Or wait,
Really?
I think you have to be 20 or 21.
Why? What's going on there?
I have no idea, but it's bizarre. No, Mississippi 21. I did write that down.
That's weird.
I don't know why.
I mean, good on them. I mean, in a way, you should be older to have to marry. Cohabitation should actually be a law. I just changed my mind right now.
Prove.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Because think about it. When I was 20 or 21, I don't friggin' know.
So that's like mentally, I think your personality
Yeah.
fuses at 25, 26-ish. It's somewhere in there. And now I think the study ran until 2017. So the women were getting married at 27.4 and men were getting married at 29.5.
I was going to say 30. Good.
Yeah. So
Did you just burp respond to me?
that's
Good
call
Lord.
and response.
Call and response. There's a whole segment of this show we could have talked about
Yeah.
LGBTQ. Did I do that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's another one actually. That's like STEAM or STEM.
Questioning?
Something
No,
like
that's you. Oh, yeah, your favorite.
Include the
Neon.
arts. Include the arts. Keep going.
Arts. No. I was just going to say they have to cohabitate in a lot of states. Now it's changed in recent years, but like that's if you were gay or lesbian or something and you wanted to be married, they wouldn't let you. So you had to cohabitate.
So the insurance is another aspect of this, which we didn't talk about. It's like if you want a partnership, is that what it's called? Partnership with people?
Yeah. Yes.
That you have to prove that you're like connected in some way. And if you share an address,
what's common law marriage? Is that 5 years or something?
it really depends where you are.
State to state. Yeah.
I think it's like a year or something, maybe 2 years in Texas.
Really? I thought it was like 3 or 5 years here, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's not in every state.
state.
I think they do it down here because of immigrants, and if the immigrants live together long enough, it's like you're married, and then they'll be like
you're like married.
España, and then be like, no, you guys are married.
You're like married.
I forgot, there was a thing right there. What did we miss it? Like the insurance part of it is key too. Because if you have a kid and it's not your kid, but you have better insurance, then you have to prove that it's like by a partner. It becomes difficult. Like these things should not be intertwined, and for some reason they are.
They shouldn't be, but then there's like our cases are pretty cut and dry. Like there are people who have kids with people, then move away, and then start dating their sister and their cousin, and then like do this, and they go back and they're like, "Well, I still care for the kid," and it's like that's still my kid, and she's like, "He can care for the kid. That's my kid," and they're like, "Yeah, he'll do it, but what's his legal recourse here?" And they're like, "Well, he's going to pay for the insurance. I'll claim them, and then he does this," and it's kind of a mess. And I think that's what people are against. They don't want the mess because the kids could get lost in the cracks. Like with marriage, there's a one and there's another, and they have to stay together, and they both have the kid at heart. When you don't, I guess people are afraid that you're going to have all these other connections, all these other partners, all these other kids, and people get lost. It's kind of the argument against it, I guess.
There's a quote from the movie adaptation that I really love. Is that she says
Who is
in one? I think this was
it's the screenplay, and
Meryl
it's what's his
Streep.
name playing? No, the
Nicolas
dude
Cage.
he plays. Yeah, he plays both
His
characters
brother
or whatever. Yeah,
and himself. But
Yes,
I
of
think
course.
Meryl Streep says it like people like to whittle down life to the simplest pieces so that it makes more sense because it's easier to handle. So like whittling the act of whittling it down is like making it so you get married and you have one person and not like it's not like you have this web of people that are your love interests. Like that's a weird thing. It's a weird concept to be polyamorous. Like to have multiple wives or multiple houses or like
But don't you
mistresses.
change every 7 years? Don't people change? Things change. Even if you don't, society changes in a way that things change.
So
We live longer.
you get
Like when we
bored
live to
too.
24, yeah, you get bored. You can learn to resent each other. You can grow apart. You can go in different directions.
Mhm.
This is all real stuff.
So I don't know if I want to ask this question.
I might not answer it.
Yeah.
You can ask it.
It's like, have you found that you wanted? I mean, I feel like there are certain women that I see and that I interact with that I'd be like, it'd be really interesting to like have dated them. Like if they had met me when I was younger, I wish I could have met them
Like
and been like, let's try this out.
going back in time when you were the age you met them at, and they were that age, because they might be different now. But good.
Yeah, I feel like there's a period where you realize like 95% of the person that you're with, and you know their limitations, and there's a randomness to like
you know their
going
routine. You know their this. You know what they're going to say when you bring up this.
And this is the counter argument, I think, already, is that the other person is really alluring and interesting and different until you really get down to it. And I feel like it's exactly
And
the
if you
same person.
cohabitated with them, you'd be in the exact same situation.
Yeah, they would still
You'd
put the paper
eventually hate
towel
them
on the
and-
dish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they would. They would do the toothpaste the wrong way.
yeah.
Which way is the toilet paper supposed to go?
It depends if you have kids that are cats that hit it. You reverse it if they have kids, so they don't unroll the whole thing.
Under or over? What are you trying to say to me?
Roll it out towards the back.
Weird. I think you know a guy.
Yeah. Sorry,
think you
Nick.
know a guy.
I'm sorry, Nick. What about not replacing the toilet paper at all and just leaving an empty roll and then picking it up and
Please,
unrolling
cardboard.
it?
Although you're going to hate me for this, and maybe they would have this complaint about me. No. If I use toilet paper, I take the roll off the stupid ass spindle, wrap it around my hand, I use it, wrap it around my hand, I use it, and then sometimes I forget to put it back on the spindle because I'm not spindling all day.
You're not a spindler?
No, I have to grab it with my hand. Just do this.
The guy who doesn't wash his towels is not a spindler.
That's correct.
If you
The
and
guy
I
who
lived
never-
together, what would we be pissed off at each other about? This is what it comes down to, really.
All right. This is really what it comes down to. We would hate each other, but I don't know what for.
Well, I figured there'd be a smell. Like I remember, like using your shower at your parents' place,
That's
and like there's a
because-
little mold on the like the not the sheet, like the plastic curtain. And I was like, how do you fucking live like this? And like,
I would leave it till it gets just covered in mold. I care
yeah,
less.
that's it. Like touching that slimy surface is just like,
But anyway, there's my girlfriend's sister. She changes it all the time. It's like it. That's what work boils down to in these households, these cohabitations, these marriages, anything. It's the lowest common denominator. There's someone who will break and fix it,
I'm gonna make
clean
them
it,
break.
empty it, or do whatever. Right?
Yeah. And sometimes you know when you're being tested. It's like, I'm gonna leave this for that person so that they do it or not, and we're gonna have a fight
So-
if they don't.
Of interest, Tommy, the flowers. He and I were the best two people at pushing an envelope as far as humanly possible. We would have garbage sit in the room that both of us thought the other was responsible for and leave it for months. I can leave a piece of trash with ketchup in it and a paper towel for over 6 weeks. And he could leave it. Like, we would have these contests that we were aware of but weren't aware of, and we would just push it to some weird limit that I didn't think was humanly possible. He was really good at it. I became really good at it because he was good at it. His alarm would go off for 45 minutes straight one day, and I just refused to tell him his alarm was going off, so I tried to ignore it. Like, cohabitation teaches you a lot about a person. And to this day, I don't think I hate anyone as much as I hate him, but I love him.
Like your mental resilience went up.
Oh, it went up through the roof.
So you want to touch on kids?
Sure.
So
I'm not going to touch any kids.
touch on them, like
Oh,
not
yeah,
physically,
yeah.
just
Uh-huh.
about them. So I have two, and it's I don't. It's difficult because you wake up. I realized today. I wake up. I take care of them. I go to work. I get back. I might have half an hour, pick them up from daycare, and then take care of them again until I do this podcast. So I like the entire day is mostly dealing with shitty diapers and then dealing with other people's
Stupid
shit.
games and cleaning up things that people won't clean up themselves.
Yeah,
It's literally picking up stuff that other people are playing with.
exactly. So there's like a resilience there that I don't know you realize is there. I thought about this today. Is that if I were to go back in time and to be a kid again, I would be like, like I have all this free time. I could just go out and like play in the forest or do some weird shit, like whatever the hell I wanted to do. It's like as you get older, you don't have any of that, and people are all like they start piling up on top of you, and they start relying on you, and then you become like the breadwinner, but like the head of the household. So like you're relied upon, which makes it so you can't do very much at all.
I put it this way. You become, as you grow, you become like a tree. I mean, you have roots. You couldn't pick up and just leave tomorrow, could you? You have so many financial connections, so many work things, so many people, so many things that rely on you, so many children, so many connections, so sociological, just regular stuff. Like if you left for a week and your lawn overgrew, you'd have to have it cut because ordinances say you will be fined. And you're like, whew, gotta stay here. And it's like
Homeowners associations.
yeah, these connections, responsibilities, people around you, jobs, social events, even things you've committed to weeks ago, like going to a party or bringing dip. Like it sounds stupid, but they're all roots. And you have so many roots that take up so much of your time that you can't just go wandering off to some island. No.
So that leads into like restarting. Like if you were to restart, like actually forming the bonds that you have now, because you've stayed in the same place.
A new family? Are you talking about a new family in a new place?
Yeah. I don't think you would find that. I don't know. I read an article about older people retiring and like trying to find out what they wanted to do.
See, that's it. That's too far at that age, I think.
You're done. You're over it. You've passed it.
No. I don't think I have. You know why? I've lost more weight. I look good. I work out. If I could come into some money and a steady job, I actually could probably do the whole thing again, like, and start over. I mean, I don't know what happens to my past, and I don't think I would do it. But physically, I could.
So there was this person I knew, one of my mom's friends' husbands, that his kids were grown and out of college, and like I guess they were like 25.
And
so
he started over again?
He restarted. He just disappeared one day.
How old was he?
He must have been like 55.
50-something? And that takes guts. He had kids again?
I don't know he restarted his life. Like it's weird. I mean, it's possible for a guy to do that all over again, but leaving all that behind is just bizarre.
Get this one. My friend who I'd mentioned earlier in the podcast, his wife's father had 2 or 3 families. And he would go away on business, aka live with the other family who had their own house, his own wife, their own kids. And tell them after 3 or 4 days he was going away on business.
50-50.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm burnt out on one family. Can you imagine doing that?
You would have so many you double the requirements of like the family time. You'd have to love family time, which is so bizarre because you have 2 families. You just destroyed family time for both families.
You destroyed both families in a way, but I think he did it for like 10, 15 years before he got caught.
I can't believe that you would last that long. That leads into like Italian mistresses. Like I think after World War II, there weren't that many Italian guys, so like a mistress was like commonplace. So like having like a secondary wife was like a normal thing. And like families were so intertwined that like Italian men will also like live with their parents for a long, long time.
That's the thing. What do they call mama's boys in Italian? I forgot
Yeah.
what the term is.
I don't know. I wonder what the term actually is now.
Mamma mia's. Mamma mia's a Mario. Luigi. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would be if Mario or Luigi had a clogged toilet and didn't know what to do?
I can't make the noise. Like the
Bling, bling. Like their health go down.
go down the pipe. And then they just shove the shit.
That game was weird when you think about it with the pipes and everything. I don't know.
It was a plumber.
Well, but do you think it was the pipes first and they were like, let's make him a plumber? And they were like, that'll solve every question. Or do you think he was a plumber first and they were originally teleporters and they're like, let's just make them pipes because he's a plumber?
That's like a chicken or
the other way around.
Yeah, that's.
I think they were pipes first because they were easier to design, and then afterwards they're like, why are all these pipes here?
It's crazy.
He's
to
a
think
plumber!
like a Japanese guy thinks of like a plumber. Like it doesn't seem right.
Well, that's why I'm telling you the pipes had to be first. All the other stuff, and they were just like, let's make him a plumber because they figured it would just solve all their problems or questions or weird things. Anyway, did you find out what Mama's boy's called?
No, it's just his mama's boy.
Damn it.
Well, the same things happens in like the Chinese family. Like Chinese families, if they want to marry off like a daughter, like the daughter requires them to like buy a house. Or like the elders.
Dowry. Is that like a dowry?
It sort of is like a dowry.
Hell yeah, that's a dowry ransom, baby. We got you, cold bitches.
A ransom.
I see you.
I don't know how I would deal with that because that does force you to set up like a physical location, and then if they want to move into your house, like whole family, because most Asian families do like live together. Like you have a grandmom. Like I can't imagine having like parents or grandparents in the same house. Like it might be nice for having like caretakers for your kids, but other than that, how would you feel if like a father-in-law, mother-in-law
Grandma was getting on my nerves?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
She better not step to me.
You better replace that toilet paper roll.
If one of them's definitely not emptying the toothpaste properly, I can guarantee it.
No, I don't.
You're right.
I don't think I want to deal with that.
So, coming full circle, what did we learn today about married people? They hate each other just as much as the people who aren't married. Correct.
Keep looking, because you're never going to find it.
This is a weird question. Are people meant to live together? I would think.
So,
yeah,
like,
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, history dictates that. Like, you live in villages, they protect you. Like, living in a like apartment complex or a neighborhood.
But you could live in individual huts next to each other in a village. Are people supposed to live in one hut?
If
like share things?
I feel like there's moments where you like are sick, like, oh, he's just staying at his hut today. Like sometimes you need that person to be like, oh, he needs something. Like you need so this is part that we didn't touch on. It's like we touched on insurance, but like if you're sick and someone can take care of you, or if you just need something, or like say you break a leg or something, like there's someone there to notice that you're injured, which also feeds into like when you get older, like living alone when you get older.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, because you could fall and break a hip, and then you can't hit your first alert bracelet. I don't know if that still exists. But just go to firstalert.com, unpanderers.
Our sponsor, / unpanderers. Keyword, a lot of the old people listening.
I'm going to die soon. That's the keyword.
Okay, cool. I didn't know. I thought that was what they were saying, and I was like, oof, that's not a good advertisement.
It got dark.
It did get dark.
You know, I will say this. I was at work, and it was late, and it was late in the day, and I was tired, and I wasn't thinking. And somebody was doing something like I had this like setup that could hurt somebody, and somebody was like fake playing with it, and I said like in my mind I was like, you could get hurt doing that, but like it's okay because you know the risks. Like this is the full thought, but what I did say was, I can't wait for you to die.
You said that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did they get the humor in it? Or?
I don't know because I was laughing so hard on the inside that I was like blocking everyone else out. But I was like, shit. Like I was not, you're not supposed to say that at work, but I said that like verbatim, and I was like, phew. So it was kind of like that joke. Can't wait for you to die. But unpanderers.com, firstalert.com. Check it out. But honestly, if you have someone else living with you, there's security there. There is a sanity, and there's a protection. And
protection. Mm-hmm.
If I was, so flip it a little bit. If I was a single parent, I would probably worry that like my kids might not be taken care of if I was completely alone. I think that I would fear that actually. Like if I was incapacitated in some way, my kids wouldn't know what the hell to do. Like run to a neighbor, like if I didn't have neighbors.
So weird. I actually have a weird, it's not a fantasy, it's like a thought practice where what if everyone aged 30 and older like froze one day and couldn't move but they were okay? Like how many other people would die? Like would all the 5-year-olds die? Would all the 1-year-olds die? And like I'm like I get all nervous and I'm like, oh my god, what if like okay, so what if your kid was like he wasn't in his crib, they're 2-year-old, and like now you're all frozen and you can't move. Would they all go towards the steps? Which ones would die? Would my kid die? Like this? Like that's what I think of when I'm bored thinking. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just what if everyone froze except for the babies or something?
Is it like, weird that I'm just like it just depends if the pantry's open for one of the kids?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like it really would. Like what would like a 3 or a 5-year-old do if everyone disappeared for 10 hours? Like, would they die? Would they wander out into the streets? I have no idea.
Sounds like a science experiment.
I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I just, but like you just, I don't know.
No, it'd be fun. It'd be funny to be like, okay, now you just leave your kids alone for 10 hours and we'll pay you. We'll pay you to see what the outcome is.
It sounds like the microwave. Microwave your baby for 2 seconds for $10,000.
No, that baby.
Come on, baby, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, baby. I had a customer yesterday.
That hurts my heart.
I had a customer yesterday who called their 2.5-year-old who kept waddling behind us. Okay, baby, you're good, baby. Come on, baby. And it got real annoying after like 10 minutes. They're like, oh, you're good. Come on, baby. And they kept clapping for her and calling her baby. And I was like, just call her name. I still don't know her name. You guys have been here for like 5 hours. And maybe the baby's name was Baby. But I have a feeling it had a name.
Holy shit. Are there that many people named Baby?
That's got to be weird when you're like 83. Yeah, baby.
Hey, baby. And it's like...
Thank you. You're so attractive.
Yeah. No.
You couldn't find the amount of people over age 60 named Baby. I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Well, let's sum up today.
Yeah, I don't know what we covered, but it was fantastic, wasn't it? All those things about cohabitating and living alone and independence and privacy and how you form your own personality.
By the way, all the websites
that
were against cohabitation,
yeah.
They were like, it's going to lead to sin, it's going to lead to Jesus macking you, it's going to lead to... what was one of them? Infidelity, all these other things.
Maybe, I don't know. Today's society,
I don't know that it will. I mean, today's society
control and all that stuff, and condoms.
But that's more on today's society and everyone else than it does with cohabitation versus marriage. I guess marriage makes it harder because marriage,
because you're supposed to move forward.
I guess because marriage is more planned. Marriage takes longer. Marriage has more paperwork. So chances are it's harder to break. Not much harder, but like You planned it, you wrote it down, you had dates for it. Cohabitation's more like we're doing the same thing without that stuff. So it's more planned, it's more formulaic, it's more structured. So it makes sense that it would be better in some ways, but
Whittle down life to its simplest.
really when you whittle down life to its simplest, it's the same as cohabitation.
Yeah. I don't know that you feel any different because you have a ring or a piece of paper.
You do. I don't know.
I don't think
I haven't
so.
done both. I don't know.
Well, I am the master of my domain.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm never alone anymore, except right now, which I share with you. We cohabitating at the moment? Is this?
I guess we are. If you want to jack off, I don't care. Go ahead.
I mean,
listen.
You
for
won't.
The podcast.
You won't.
Or our previous guests enjoy that.
Like, what's the face look like? Huh. I think we're good.
I think we touched on everything.
Yeah.
We touched the kids. Did we touch the kids? Yeah, we touched on kids. We touched kids. Keyword FBI.
Oh,
we touched on cohabitation.
Holy shit.
We touched on marriage. We touched on people. We touched on individuals. We touched on religion. We touched on sanctity. We touched on
age 21.
Mississippi. We talked about how
those dryer sheets, shoes, cleaning, the trash,
toilet paper.
Yeah, the stuff that other people don't take care of, and you're like, what the hell? Why is this happening every time?
You realize there's something you don't even know about that she would say like, that about you. Why would he do this? And you're like, I do what? Like, you don't even know. Like, that's the craziest part. So really, people are meant to hate each other. They're not meant to love each other. And that's why we love you.
Make a culture together. Passing on
like
knowledge.
in a petri dish or in a paper towel or a towel. Anyway,
the back of
folks.
Curtain.
Ford 97
curtain.
Escort. Ford Escort. Mm-hmm. A red one. Brad used to drive. Folks, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
We think you learned a lot. We think we learned a lot. We think the shades on Dan's camera changed. It went warm. It went dark. It went warm. It went dark a couple times.
Did it really?
Yeah. Yes, I've been working out, folks.
We do like you. I don't know about that one. I don't know.
That's some dad muscle. Whoa!
Dad muscle.
I think Dan got me beat. Damn. I mean, mine looks more lean, but I think yours is bigger. Mine's leaner.
I can't tell.
Yours is maybe bigger. Damn. You got picking up 2 kids at a time.
Yeah. This is the phase where I get jacked, where I put up a little barrier so they can't get in certain rooms, but I have to lift myself with the bar.
Hey, kids, though.
And people like, let's cohabitate.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. We like you. We like you a lot. Check our socials. Donate to our Patreon. So far, we're getting $1,000 a week. We want to up that to $1,200 a week. If we can hit the goal, we're going to start recording secret episodes. Secret episodes are only going to be available for Patreon donators. Patreon donators. You want a secret episode? I literally will show you my body hair. I just trimmed my chest a little bit. Happy trail a little bit. We're looking pretty good, folks. I don't know. We like you. We like you a lot. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, folks.
Good night.